Hello again, playful writers. It's Leah back with you for another mentor sentence. I'm so excited about this series because I love mentor sentences. I love looking at beautiful writing and adding more tools to my own writer's toolbox to see how I can incorporate different sentence structures, different literary devices into my own writing. And so mentor sentences are a great way to do that and a fun, fast-paced way to do that because you don't have to read an entire book cover to cover and highlight every sentence that you fall in love with. You can pick apart one sentence at a time, and a lot of times learn a whole lot about the English language, learn a whole lot more about writing and what you can incorporate into your own writing. So today I've got a treat for you. We have a mentor sentence by Maeve Binchy, and we are looking at a sentence of hers and just seeing maybe what we love about it. You might not fall in love with every single part of every single one of these mentor sentences, but like I said, they're just more tools in your toolbox. So it might be something, you might find something that you want to incorporate sometimes, you might find something that you want to steer clear of, but it's just really neat to see how other writers have done it. So let's dive right in. Okay, so here is our mentor sentence with plenty of white space, blank space all around it to take all of our good notes. I do hope that I am pronouncing this author's name correctly because I am terrible at names. If you haven't heard me tell this story, well, I'm a teacher and I had a student in my class 1,000 years ago and her name was Leah. You might remember my name is Leah. For all that I tried, I swear I called that girl Lily the whole year. It became our joke and we did it on purpose. But I would call on her and I was like, Lily. And she was a phenomenal student, like always attentive and ready to answer a question. But I would call her Lily. She would not raise her hand. I was like, what is going on? And so finally she was like, we have the same name. Like you get it, right? Like we have the same name. Oh my goodness. So if I can't even literally get my own name right when I see it on my class roster, bless my heart with trying to pronounce or remember the pronunciation of any other name. So that is my, you know, caveat. That's my little like out for myself for all of these different names. So I'll try my best, but we'll see. So here's our mentor sentence. By dawn, the house smelled of Sunday, chicken frying, bacon sizzling, and smoked sausages baking. Okay, I love this sentence and it makes me hungry. How about you guys? I just think it's such a neat sentence. So let's see what makes it neat, right? So let's start off at the beginning. A very good place to start, right? So by dawn. So we have a little prepositional phrase here, by dawn. So I'm going to mark that prepositional phrase. Now, here's something interesting. Kind of the rule of thumb is when you have an introductory phrase like this, like a prepositional phrase, you usually don't have to put a comma unless it's a longer prepositional phrase. Depending on the style guide, they will fall, different numbers, but for the most part, the rule of thumb is 4 words or more. That gets a comma after the end of that introductory prepositional phrase. However, it is up to the author if you think you want to add it there for effect, right? So I think this is a neat way to kind of slow down the sentence. And if we're talking about a house that smelled like Sunday, I don't know about you guys, but Sunday, maybe you think of a day where you slow down, right? So we don't want to rush this sentence. By dawn, the house smelled of Sunday. No, we want to say by dawn, the house smelled of Sunday. Like it slows us down as a reader. So I would say that this is a really neat way to break a rule using a comma. Not necessarily break it, but bend it, like a little bit. So I think that's really neat. So did you ever think that punctuation could also give you a bit of a vibe for a sentence? So that doesn't have anything to do with Sunday, but it's neat that it slows us down as a reader and kind of gives us that slower pace that we might think of associating with that day of the week. So very, very cool. So by dawn, the house smelled of Sunday. Now this just doesn't get annotated like with some red letters. This gets highlighted in yellow. This is my absolute favorite part of the sentence. By dawn, the house smelled of Sunday. So I don't know if you like that, if that's something you might want to incorporate in your writing or not, but I love it. So what's something that we might like about this? Well, smelled is one of our 5 senses, right? So we're using a word, we're using a verb that refers to one of our five senses, but what we're smelling isn't something that you can smell. You cannot smell a day of the week, right? So do we have any other examples of this in writing? Well, you might have something like, let's put a subject to it. She looked like money, right? So, that's impossible, right? Like if you think about a literal, person that looked like money, oh my goodness, why did I even start? Because we know I can't draw. This is my weakness, is trying to draw. So we know that this lady did not look like money literally, right? But we still have this same sort of setup where we are using a word that relates to our five senses, but then the thing that we are saying, that we are seeing, is not a literal something, right, that we can observe as a person, right? But we have the meaning for this. We know what this means. She looked like money. If someone says that, gosh, she is well dressed, right? She didn't, wake up this morning, throw on an old pair of sweats, and just walk outside and hope for the best, right? So that might be me on a Dollar General run or something like that. But she looks like money. What do they say? Styled, not worn, right? So her shoes are amazing. We don't even call it a purse, I think, when it is like high fashion. It is a bag. So she has a bag that is nice. Her shoes are amazing. Her belt is matching. Jewelry, my teenage students would say, well, this is probably a very old reference now, but like respect the drip, Karen, right? So she has all those things going on for her. So just at a glance, without talking to her, without ever seeing a name brand tag hanging out or anything, she looked like money. Can we think of another sentence that might accomplish a similar task? So I think my printer is still making noises behind me. So she looked like money. The meal tasted like home, right? Or it doesn't have to be the meal. You could put something a lot more exciting there. The chicken tasted like home, or, the spaghetti tasted like home. But we're doing the same thing. We have this, one of our five senses relating to a place. We don't literally go to our home, our house, and lick the bricks on the side, and we're like, that's what home tastes like. That's not it. So the meal tasted like home. She looked like money. It sounds like freedom, or the sounds of freedom. So those phrases are magical. I love that so much. But then our author doesn't stop there. So it says, by dawn, the house smelled of Sunday. So we have a colon. This is a beautiful use of a colon, because then we have further explanation here. We have items in a series, a list of gerund phrases. Okay, so by dawn the house smelled of Sunday. Chicken frying, bacon sizzling, and smoked sausages baking. So we have three gerund phrases. So remember a gerund. We're going to write a little note down here at the bottom to remind ourselves. A gerund is when you have a word that, I always give this example, that looks like a duck, sounds like a duck, walks like a duck, all that sort of things, but it's not a duck. So think of the word swimming. Okay, out of context, you would think, okay, this is a verb, and you can use it as a verb. I am swimming. Perfect, it's a verb. But when we use swimming as a noun, even though it still has that ing, but we say swimming is fun. Now, this is used as a noun, right? Because it's the subject of our sentence. Swimming is fun. Okay, so that's a gerund. So think of verbs, words with that ing ending that you can use as a noun, right? Swimming is fun. Like chicken frying, bacon sizzling, and smoked sausage baking. So we have frying, that is one of our gerunds, right? Bacon sizzling and smoked sausages baking. Okay, so we have three of those, and we have this parallelism happening here as well. Chicken frying, bacon sizzling, and smoked sausages baking. So we have this noun is doing this thing. So chicken is frying, bacon is sizzling, and smoked sausages, this is kind of like two words in one, baking. All right, so let's go back and read this sentence from the beginning. By dawn, the house smelled of Sunday, chicken frying, bacon sizzling, and smoked sausages baking. Did I talk you into falling in love with this sentence? I hope so. I love it so much. So here is the real task, the real challenge. Try to recreate some of this magic on your own. You don't have to incorporate it into your work in progress right now. Just try and write one sentence, right? You might want to play around with these sort of sense phrases like smelled of Sunday, looked like money, tasted like home. Try and, write a couple of those and play around with them. And it's even better if you can't think of one that already exists, but you make up your own. Oh my goodness. Like you've taken your reader on a journey that, they've never even seen these words combined like that, this phrase. And then you kind of coined this phrase, and instantly they're taken back kind of to this almost like shared memory, this shared experience that you guys have. And that's a cool relationship between a writer and a reader. So very, very cool. So try to play around with that. And then play around with these gerunds, these noun phrases like chicken frying, bacon sizzling, smoked sausages baking. Try practicing some of those. And then, like, my best challenge exercise for you is to try to do exactly what she's done and come up with one of these phrases like smelled like Sunday and then elaborate on that. Maybe use that colon, that same good use of a colon like she has. Smelled of Sunday. What does Sunday smell like to you? We don't all have the same memories of Sunday, right? Maybe our Sundays didn't smell like chicken frying, bacon sizzling, and smoked sausages baking, but what did Sunday smell like? Or what did summer look like? Or what does home taste like? So that is powerful. I mean, that is some amazing imagery, and we get all of that in one sentence from this author. So that's why these mentor sentences can be so profoundly incredible. So I can't even use good words now. I'm trying to help you write, and I'm like, I just love it so much that my adjectives are falling short. But that's why these can be so powerful, because you learn all these new tools that you can use in your own writing. So play around with those at the beginning. If you're having trouble, write them for yourself and then start leveling up your game. Think about your work in progress, a story that you're working on, a sketch that you're doing, and see if you can write these for one of your characters, right? What did Sunday smell like to your main character? What did Sunday smell like to the villain of your story, right? Maybe they had, a different experience. Maybe that's part of, what led them to being a villain. And so I just think these are so very neat, and they accomplish so much with just one sentence. So play around with these. Hopefully you got some new tools in your toolbox. And if you come up with an amazing sentence, I would love to hear it. I would love to see it. So send those to me, and I will fangirl on yours as much as I did on Miss Maeve's here. I'm hoping, again, that I did her name justice, so we'll see. And shout out to Lily/Leah, haha. And I've finally gotten her name right, but like I said, she's so sweet. She worked at a little restaurant close to our house, and I would go in and I would call out, and I was like, Lily. And one of the other people that worked there, they were like, we don't have a Lily working here. And she would always, before she even turned around fully, she was like, hey, Miss Leah. So it was just our little inside joke. So play around with these sentences, add tools to your toolbox, and then I will see you next time, Playful Writers. Bye for now.